Today I'm going to be ranking every secondary from worst to best in Phantom Forces. Before we get started with that, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. We're getting pretty close to 21,000, so yeah, it helps me out a lot. Also, I've lowered the price to my limited edition Roblox merch to 15 Robux, so if you wanted some before and couldn't afford it, you can get that now. It's only 15 Robux, and it's only available for a limited time. It's going to go off sale at some point, so if you want to pick it up, then now is probably a good time to do so. So yeah, starting off first, we have the Obres. This is basically like this is the secondary Mosin pretty much, and this thing, it's actually so garbage. It's actually unusable. The drop on this thing is so bad. It has super low muzzle velocity, and I mean, you literally, like I have right here, you have to have a ballistics tracker on this thing to even know where to shoot, and it's not fun at all. The damage is pretty low for basically every stat that this thing has, and I mean, there's no reason to use this over the SFG-50, which is a much better gun than this, and it's also a lower rank, so I would just recommend using that instead. This thing's not very good. Well, I mean, I just got a double kill, but that's close range. It doesn't matter. It doesn't that doesn't count. Yeah, the Obres, I think this is definitely the worst secondary in the game. Don't use this. It's actually garbage. Next up, we have the sawed-off shotgun. This thing is basically a secondary Stevens DB, but with no damage because it drops off to 9 damage at like 60, 70 studs. It has basically no range to it at all, and there's no reason to use this over like the other secondary shotguns. This thing's like basically nothing. There's even pistols out there with shotgun conversions that's better than this thing, which renders this thing basically useless, and it makes it to where there's basically no point to even use this thing at all. As you can see there, I did 9 damage to that guy. Yep, there we go, a 13 and a 14. Yeah, I would not recommend this gun at all. It's completely useless, it's completely garbage, and it sucks. Next up, we've got the Zip 22. The Zip 22, I mean, honestly, this thing with the shot conversion is a better shotgun than the sawed-off, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, the Zip 22 is the Zip 22. Everybody knows how bad this thing is. It's supposed to be a joke gun. It's not even supposed to really be that serious. But the Zip 22, a fun fact about this is that it's actually a real gun in real life, and it's considered the worst made gun of all time because it's actually bad. It's supposed to be a home defense gun of some sort, but yeah, good luck killing any intruders with this thing. You'd have to hit them directly in the middle of their head. Like, you have to point it right up to their frontal lobe and pull the trigger about 3 times for this thing to be effective, and that's in real life. So in game, this thing, it just sucks. I mean, it's funny to just go around and use sometimes, and that's probably the only reason why people actually use this sometimes. But I don't know, with a rat shot, you have to like butterfly click and all that stuff, like that right there. And next up, we have the G23. This thing's kind of just a mid-tier pistol. It's not that good. It can fire fast, sure, but it actually doesn't do very high damage. I think it's yes, it's a 54 to the head, but I mean, in terms of like body damage, it's a 3-shot to 5-shot, and its ranges are actually pretty small, so you're more often times than not going to be pulling out a 5-shot with this thing. That's not exactly what I want in a secondary. I don't know, this thing, it doesn't really have any redeeming qualities to it other than maybe the fire rate if you can click at 700 RPM like that. But I don't know. I don't think this thing's super enjoyable. I think there's definitely better options out there. There's much better secondary pistols out there. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about this thing, really. Next, we got the M17, which is basically just that, but slightly slower fire rate and better ranges. So it does have better ranges, which means you're going to be 5-shotting to farther out, which makes this thing slightly better in my opinion. You can't really tap fire as fast, but not everybody can do that, so it might not be as big of a deal for some people. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think this thing is really that special either, and that's kind of a reoccurring thing we're going to see here with a lot of these pistols. Next up, we have one of the starter pistols. This is the M9. Yeah, like the other two before this one, it's really not that special. No really redeeming stats. Damage is not great. I mean, there's faster fire rate than the previous 2 guns, so it does have that going for it, but I don't really think this thing's that good. It's not really that usable, unless you're like rank 0, so yeah, this thing is just, it's at the bottom of the list for a reason, pretty much. Next up, we have the G17, which is basically the same thing as the M9 stats-wise, but slightly better ranges. Yeah, I think it even has the same fire rate, so basically the same gun, but you can do more damage at a further range. kinda. Yeah, I don't know. This thing is also not special at all, like the previous 3 guns, or however, I can't even count at this point. But yeah, G17, not very good, but it is a low rank, so it has that going for it. We'll just get that guy there. Oh, and this thing also has G-switch, so it also has that, which is nice. The M9, of course, doesn't have G-switch. Duh. Except we have the KG99. This thing is actually a semi-automatic Tech 9. The game's over. Hold on. Yeah, this thing's also 3-shot to 5-shot, so it's the same damage as the previous 4 guns, but it also has much higher fire rate than those other 2 and has pretty okay ranges. I think definitely the main highlighting feature of this is the 850 fire rate. Yeah, there's kind of a little showcase of that right there. Overdressed Lizard 12 has killed me. But yeah, there's really no reason to use this. You have much better guns at this rank anyway, so yeah. Next we have the M2011, which is actually basically the same gun, but better ranges. I think this also fires a lot slower, but it looks cool. That's kind of the main draw to this gun, is that it looks super cool, which is kind of funny, but I think it used to look even cooler when it was like pink. Like you didn't even need a skin, it was just straight up pink, but they changed it for some reason, which is why I have the anti-sight on this gun to kind of match that pink theme, but they got rid of it, and I will never forgive StyLiS for that. Yep. All right, next up we have the Alien. This thing's a really weird pistol. It has decent headshot damage, I think, but in terms of like the body shot damage, it actually kind of sucks. I think it drops off to like 19 or something. High. Yeah, I was going to show off the one shot to the head on you, but I guess I can't. No, it's not even one shot to the head. It's 95 to the head, so you can actually one head, one body. Yeah, it does have a 1.1 torso multiplier. I don't know. I don't really like this thing very much. I only have 3 kills on it, so I can't really speak to how good this thing is. I don't know. I don't really like this thing. Next up, we have the 1858 New Army. This thing's a one shot up to like one shot to the head up to like a pretty decent range. It's not too bad. I definitely think there's better one shot secondaries out there. I don't think this thing's too bad. I think I kind of like the Western gimmick of it. I guess it's definitely one of the best Western themed guns in the game, and that's one thing I do appreciate about this. We don't have very many guns from that timeline because Phantom Forces is supposed to be a modern warfare type game, so I think it's nice just to kind of have this in the game. But in terms of stats, it's not too special. It does have snake shot, which I like, which makes this thing a shotgun, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I just realized how cheap the gas is in Phantom Forces. That's cool. Next up, we're moving up to some of the better semi-automatic secondaries. This is the G40. The main thing about this is that it actually has pretty decent damage. It's a 3-shot to 4-shot, and I mean the fire rate is a little bit slow, but that's fine. You get better damage. Ranges aren't too bad on this thing, and yeah, I don't know. I think this is definitely one of the better Glocks in the game. I think, you know, there's some better options out there, but there's definitely some worse options. I don't think this gun's too bad. I think it's pretty all right, and yeah, I don't know. It's cool. Next, we have the M45A1, I think this thing's called. I like this gun. It can 2-shot to the torso at close range, which is kind of a nice draw of this thing. I don't know. I think this is also pretty good. It has decent fire rate, 670, decent reserve. I don't know. It's a pretty solid little pistol. I think this is definitely worth a try if you haven't tried this thing already. But yeah, I don't think it's that bad at all. It's pretty good. Has good ranges as well. 4-shot to the torso at long range. Not bad. Next up, we have the G21. I know it seems kind of weird that I placed this above the G40, but it can 2-shot at close range. You have to hit 1 torso shot and 1 headshot. So the reason I placed this above that is because it actually has 650 fire rate, and I think it can also 4-shot at long range. This gun's not bad. I think it's pretty decent. Hello? I don't know how I missed every single shot on that guy, but yeah, I don't know. This thing's also, I mean, it doesn't have too much flavor to it. It's not too interesting, but the stats are pretty decent on this thing, so that's that. All right, next we have our next secondary shotgun. This is the M79 Thumper. The gun at default is actually pretty bad, but the thing that I do like about this is that it has some really nice conversions on it, and it has a lot of customizability, like a lot. There's so many like different conversions and ammo types you can use on this thing. It's a very interesting gun, but but I think buckshot is pretty good on this thing. I know they have like double slugs and sponge ammo type. They have some interesting things on here. But yeah, the M79 Thumper, it's a pretty decent secondary shotgun. There's definitely better out there, but I think this thing's kind of interesting. It's like a little treat. It's cool, I guess. But next up we have another secondary shotgun. This is the Judge. I'm actually giving this a slight nudge above the M79 Thumper, and that's only because it can actually two-shot to the torso at close range. Like, and close range, I mean like really, really close range. Let's see, it's like up to 25 studs. Yeah, so it can actually two-shot to the torso and maybe to the limb that far. So yeah. Oh, this entire time I've actually been saying two-shot. I mean hit 2 pellets. You have 4 pellets and you only need to hit 2 of them to one-shot somebody. Yeah, just for some clarification there. But yeah, I think this thing's decent. There's still better secondary shotguns out there, but this thing's not too bad. If you have this thing, I definitely recommend giving it a try and seeing what you think about it. There we go. Next up we have the coil gun. This thing, it's interesting. I think this is definitely one of the most interesting guns in the game. Obviously it's a lot like the funny gun. What's that gun called again? The shotgun? The E-gun? Yeah, it's a lot like the E-gun. But this thing has like slightly lower damage than the E-gun. But it does have crowd control set up in heavy discs, which means it can 5-shot at close range. And it's also got 1200 fire rate with basically no recoil. Not that the recoil even matters because you're not using this at long range anyway. I can guarantee that, because it actually does 9 damage at long range, which is kind of bad. Actually, really bad. But yeah, this is a very interesting gun, and I definitely recommend giving it a try. It's also a very customizable gun. You even have a pennies conversion, so you can shoot pennies at people if you wanted to, but it does 1 damage. I wouldn't recommend using it, but it's just interesting if you want something new to do, I guess. It also comes with the Kosaku sight at default, which is pretty cool. Next on the list we have the Metabus 6, which this thing actually has a conversion onto it. I think it's 456 maybe, which allows this thing to one tap to the torso up to like a certain range. I think it's actually a pretty far one hit, but yeah, let me just try to kill people. I don't know, I'm so bad at this game, bro. Yeah, let me shoot this guy. There we go. As you can see, it did 72 to the torso there, which isn't bad. But yeah, you have to be pretty close to them to hit them once in the torso to kill them. Let me see here. Yeah, you can one tap to the torso up to close to 25 studs. I think it's more like 24. Then it drops off to 42 to the torso at long range. So not bad at all. Not bad. I think there's definitely better options, but I think this thing's pretty cool. Next up, we have the SAS 308. This thing is also a secondary sniper, kind of. Yeah, so it can one shot up to like 30 studs ish, maybe, question mark. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's quite all right for what it is. I think there's definitely some better, at least, well, one outlying secondary sniper that definitely is better than this thing. But yeah, you get 1 bullet, you reload it, and that's it. I mean, it's cool, it's quirky, it does the job, it's not bad. Next up we have the Super Shorty. This thing is cool. I don't know. I think this thing used to be called the Serbu shotgun. I don't know why they changed the name of it, but yeah, I think this is a decent secondary shotgun. It's pretty good. Yeah, this is usually most people's go-to secondary shotgun, but I think there's one that is slightly better. Let me see if I can kill some people here. Yep. Hi, sir. Why did that not kill him? And speaking of, that best secondary shotgun is actually the Sega 12U. And the weird thing about this is that it's the best not because of its actual default shotgun. It's the best because it has so much different options. I mean, this thing can literally be a 50 BMG if you wanted it to. Like here, I'll show you all of the conversions on this thing. You have 7.62. You have 9x19, which I think 9x19 is pretty cool. It's basically like a little automatic secondary, which is cool. You have 308, 9.6, and then you have 50 BMG, which 50 BMG is like this is the one-shot gun because you have 1 bullet and 0 reserve. You get one shot and that's it, which I'm going to take right here and miss. So that's it. Yeah, I think this thing's good. Not this ammo conversion, but there's a lot of different things you can do with this, and I like yeah. Next we have the hard baller. It balls hard, it goes hard, and it's a 2-tap to the torso up to 50 studs. How can you argue with that? It has a funny name, good stats, and it's good. I like it. Yeah, I definitely recommend giving this a try. Oh my god. Okay, I'm dead. Next we have the Auto Mag 3, which is literally one of the most sleeper secondaries in the entire game, I'm not gonna lie. Because it can one-shot to the head up to like 130 studs, I think, around that range, and it's not bad at all. It can 2-tap to the torso at close range as well, and yeah, as you can see there, I mean, it's good. It's really, really good. I think this is worth a try if you haven't. See right there, that guy was so far away. Just an easy 1-tap to the head. Yeah, despite the name, it's not automatic, but everything else about this thing is really, really good. Aside from the fire rate is 302, which is not very good, but if the damage hits as hard as it does, yeah, you're not going to have a problem with the fire rate at all. Next up, we have the arm pistol, which is a pretty nice little secondary machine pistol. Yeah, it's kind of like a secondary machine gun, like a secondary PDW. I think there's definitely better machine pistols out there, but this thing's not bad. I think pretty much all the machine pistols are good, but this is definitely one of the worst machine pistols. Not to say that it's a bad gun at all, because it's actually pretty decent for just being a secondary, but yeah, I mean, it's not bad. The low range, the long range damage is a little low, but other than that, this thing's definitely usable. It's not bad. Next up, we've got the 9.3R, which is a burst secondary machine pistol, and it actually bursts at 1,100 RPM. So yeah, I mean, it's really good. The damage is kind of low, but if you're firing at 1,100 RPM, that's not much of a problem. It is 3-round burst, so I think it's actually possible to one burst somebody. Yeah, you can actually one burst somebody up to like 27 studs ish, probably more like 30, but not bad. I think this is a pretty good little secondary. It's nice, especially if you like burst guns. Hit that guy. Next we have the GSP, which I kind of placed this kind of higher because this thing actually has a 1-tap to the head up to like 65 studs, and actually has a 2-tap to the head at all ranges. So I think this thing is decent. It even has a target weight to kind of offset any recoil, which kind of makes it a lot more accurate in my opinion. Not that you really need accuracy if you're like one-tapping people, but yeah, that's that. And let me get this guy here. There we go. It does 36 to the torso at close range, which is like a 3-shot. So if you're going to use this thing, headshots are definitely the way to go. See, there you go. 1-tap to the head. Really easy, really fast, and it's convenient. It's definitely a quick little thing. You know, it's tiny. It could probably fit in your pocket, which is probably why they call it the GSP. I guarantee P stands for pocket. I don't know, maybe not. People are going to roast me in the comments for saying that, I can already tell. Next up, we have the Desert Eagle L5, which is kind of like, it's the unsuccessful little brother of the Desert Eagle XIX. But I think this thing, for me calling it unsuccessful, that's kind of a downplay, because this thing actually isn't bad at all. It's pretty good. Has really good ranges, really good damage, and yeah, I don't know. I like the Desert Eagle L5. I used to use it like a lot back in the day. It used to be my main secondary for a while, I'm pretty sure, and it's really consistent and good. Yeah, you'll get the same experience no matter how you use this thing, but it does have a slower fire rate, and I think honestly the damage should be slightly higher for the fire rate that it has, because it's 400 RPM, which is not too good, and we've seen better guns in terms of fire rate like lower on the list. Like I think like I said, the 9.3R had 1100 fire rate and could one burst, but despite all of that, this does have, like I said, really good ranges. 125 drops off to 41 to the torso, and it can one-shot to the head up to about 65 studs as well. And it also does 72 to the torso, and it can two-shot up to 63 studs if you don't hit the head. So pretty good. Next up, we have the GB22, which a lot of you guys are probably like, well, why in the heck did you place this above the Desert Eagle L5? And that's mostly because this thing can 1-tap to the head, all ranges. So yeah, you do get one bullet. So it's basically just a pocket BFG that's yeah, that's all I really have to say about this thing. It's a pocket BFG with a little bit of muzzle drop. I don't think the muzzle velocity is too high on this thing, but yeah, good damage, really good damage on this thing. And it's also just a cool little gun. But yeah, I think it's one shot to the head with specifically the 50 BMG conversion. I'm gonna have to check that, hold on. Yeah, it's the 50A conversion is how you one shot to the head at all ranges. Even then, it's a 76 to the torso, and it's a one shot to the torso up to like 80 studs almost. So yeah, this thing, people are sleeping on it. I can't lie. But yeah, default, it's not really that good. It actually sucks default. Well, I mean, it can one shot all ranges to the head with default as well, but I definitely think 50 AE is slightly better just because you get that one hit to the torso as well. So yeah. This thing, it's slept on, I can't lie. And you even get mini shells, which is a shotgun attachment for this thing, so that's also pretty cool. You might want to check that out. I don't think it's that good, but yeah, GB50, pretty interesting. Next up, we have the SFG50. This is a secondary BFG. I don't know what else to say about it. It has slightly more drop than the BFG50, but I mean, in terms of stats, this thing's kind of similar to the GB22. I think this has less drop than the GB22 does, but this actually was my main secondary for a really long time, and it's one of the highest kill secondaries I have, mostly because I'd run PPSH 41 plus this thing at long range, and I don't know, I think it's definitely one of the best secondary snipers, if that's kind of your thing. So yeah, it's good, question mark. Next, we have the Izhevesk PB, which I also gave this kind of a weird placement, but it does one shot up to like 25 studs to the head. And the only reason I placed this above like the GB and like the SFG and all that is mostly because you get extra rounds and higher fire rate. So you have 550 fire rate and 9 rounds. So if you do hit that one shot head at close range, then good. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to reload. You can just keep firing away and not die. So that's why I gave this slightly higher ranking than those guns, even though it might not make sense to a lot of people, but that's that. Next, we have the Gyrojet Mark 1. This is a super weird secondary, but the stats are actually pretty good on this thing. It is a one shot to the head at all ranges, but it has a backwards kind of like a backwards drop-off graph. Like, it does more damage the farther the bullet travels, so it can actually one-shot to the torso at 160 studs. So yeah, you have that one-shot head at all ranges and that one-shot to the torso at long range, which is very strange, but I like it. It's pretty good. And you also do get 7 rounds in a magazine, but the main like really bad thing about this is the muzzle velocity. But if you put on like, actually there is no ballistics tracker for this thing. Well, that kind of sucks. You also do have 12mm rockets, which is interesting on this thing too. I'm not sure if I really recommend that at all compared to default ammo. Probably not. That makes the muzzle velocity 0.01 better. No, wait, no, wait. It makes it 100.01 better. Interesting. All right, next up we have the Micro Uzi, which this thing actually has a pretty nice 45 ACP ammo attachment on this thing, which does lower it to like 17 rounds, but I think it's like a 4-shot long range, maybe 3-shot close range on this thing, so not bad at all. It is semi-automatic, which is one thing, but I don't think it's too bad. If you have, if you kind of have a hankering for automatic, yeah, as you can see, you can just butterfly click that if you want to, and that doesn't make it too bad. But if you want it to be automatic, just take this off. And then the damage ranges aren't really good, but it does good at close range and has substantial amount of recoil, but it is 1200 fire rate automatic, so there's that. It's not bad that way either. But yeah, I think this is an okay machine pistol. It's not bad at all. Definitely not the worst, but not the best. Next up, we have a very controversial one. This is the 5.7. The reason I placed this so high is because with the extended magazine, that gives this thing 31 rounds, and it also is a 3-shot to 4-shot with 800 RPM and not really much recoil. So the way I kind of see this is that like it's a basically semi-automatic AUG 2 with 7.62. The stats on this thing on paper don't look too good, but once you look at like the fire rate, the recoil with the extended magazine, it's basically just a semi-automatic assault rifle. So that's kind of like why I placed it above the Micro Uzi, is because this thing basically is, if you tap fast enough, a very good gun. So yeah, like I said, 3-shot to 4-shot, 800 RPM, not much recoil. The only downside is that you have to tap. You have to tap fire, as you can see there. I just completely destroyed those two guys. I am butterfly clicking, which is one thing that I'd recommend doing if you can't really tap too fast. That's where you like click your mouse with 2 fingers instead of 1, and that makes this thing a lot better. You just kind of have to also focus on your aim while also tap firing, which is kind of like the bad part about this. But yeah, I think the 5.7 is super good. Hello, goodbye. But yeah, I know people are going to scream at me for this one, so there you go. Next up, we have another controversial pick, which is the Makarov PM. This thing with the extended magazine has 80 rounds, and it can actually, hold on, what was the stats again? I forgot. I have dementia, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just now remembered. It can 2-shot to the torso, just shy of 100 studs. So yeah, just short of 100 studs you can 2-shot while also having 80 rounds, and I don't know, it's pretty interesting. This also has a pretty high fire rate. It's 720, so yeah, it fires pretty fast, doesn't have very much recoil, high magazine, 2-shot up to just short of 100 studs. I guess you can see why this thing's pretty good. Next up, we have the M1911A1, which this thing actually with the dart is a 1-shot to the head at all ranges, with actually a lot better muzzle velocity than some of the other 1-shot pistols on this list. And now granted, it is still kind of low, it's 500 muzzle velocity, but you can't argue with 1-shot head at all ranges. And this thing is also pretty good with hollow point as well. It's a 2-shot to the torso to a pretty substantial range with hollow point. Yeah, it's a 2-shot to the torso up to like 70 studs with hollow point, while also having 720 fire rate and 8 ammo capacity. So with hollow point, I mean, this thing's basically like a slightly better Makarov PM, with also having the added benefit of that dart conversion. So, I mean, yeah, I think this gun's decent. I think it's overlooked. That's definitely for sure. But yeah. Next up, we have the AF 2011A1, which this thing actually has double dart, which you have 1-shot head at all ranges, and the added benefit of having 2 darts instead of 1 like the previous gun, which I think is really, really cool. And then of course with the default ammo, you can 2-shot to the torso up to like 30 studs, which is nice as well. And it also has a very interesting fire rate here. It's 999,000 semi-automatic fire rate, which is weird. It just straight up says semi down there in the corner, and I think that's because it has 2 guns pretty much glued together. Yeah, this is the sandwich gun. That's what this thing is. But yeah, this thing fires 2 shots at once, which is cool. I don't know. It has a good torso multiplier, 1.25, and it does also have like yeah, that's the thing. This thing has is instant burst, I think. I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around the way this gun works, but I think the stats on this gun are really good. So yeah, I think I'd recommend giving this a try if I were you. It's also just funny. It makes me haha every time because it's a sandwich. Yeah. Next up, we have the MP412 Rex, which this thing can 1-shot to the head. No, yeah, head up to like 145 studs. So yeah, this has a super far 1 hit to the head. And this is also a very early unlock. I think it's definitely like one of the first secondaries you unlock in the game, which is nice. Of course, you don't come equipped with all the attachments and stuff, but just default, I think the MP412 Rex is good as well, so it has that going for it. Also, I'm like literally on the worst map in the game. I hate Rav Revamp. This is so bad. I'm leaving forever. All right, next up we have the Red Hawk 44. This thing, it can be traded places with the MP412 Rex. In terms of power, they're actually pretty similar. The only reason I'm giving the Red Hawk here a slight advantage is mostly because it has 2,000 stud muzzle velocity, and yeah, with the integral barrel, which you kind of want to use on the MP412, that only has 950 muzzle velocity. So yeah, there's a lot less bullet drop with this thing, and I think the long range damage is a lot better too on this thing. I'm not sure if the shot to kill is too much to... Hello. There was just a guy sitting there. All right. Guy up there too. No, I'm dead. But yeah, I think this is a pretty underused gun. I don't see too many people using this thing. Okay, I hit that guy in the head and he's not dead. And it also has the .45 long Colt, which is a really good ammo attachment for this thing. It can 1-shot to the torso up to like 65 studs just about, and it can 1-shot to the head almost all ranges. It can 1-shot to the head out to like 90 8 studs, I think, and then it drops off to an 80. So this can actually one torso and one head at all ranges, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I think the 45 is definitely a very, very good ammo attachment on this thing. This is probably the best ammo attachment on this. I'm not quite sure if it's better than default because it does have really low fire rate. It's like 100 RPM. So that's kind of a little downside of this thing, but it's not too bad. Next up, we have the G1M1. The thing is about this is that it actually has a pretty okay one shot to the head range. I think it's one shot to the head up to 30 studs, and then it can two shot to the head at any range. So that's quite nice. But one of the things that I really do like about this is that it has 500 fire rate. So not only can it one shot to the head, but it can do so pretty fast. Yeah, so let me just, never mind, I missed. I'm so amazing at this game. Yeah, I think this pistol is, it's quite overlooked. I almost never see anybody using this thing, and it's really, really good. So, yeah, it's definitely one of the best pistols out there, especially for being semi-automatic, 500 fire rate, and with the ability to one-tap head at close range, and two-tap to the head at long range. Yeah, I hit that guy in the head once, and then I just hit another shot, and he's dead. So, yeah, this thing packs a pretty heavy punch while also having, basically no downsides in terms of like fire rate or movability. Like, I don't know, I just think this thing's really good. Yeah, let me just kill all these guys real quick. Hold on. Guy here. Hello. Why did... Okay, I felt like he just teleported above me. That was weird. Maybe I'm lagging. I don't know. Next up, we have the G50, which is, it's a lot like the GI-M1. The only thing is that this thing actually fires at 600 fire rate, so it's an additional 100 RPM. And it also has a further one hit kill to the head range. And it does also have two shot to the head at all ranges. So it's basically like the last gun, but better in pretty much every way possible. But yeah, this is definitely one of the best pistols out there right now. It is .50, so... yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of crazy. Now, this one, I do actually see people using this one sometimes, and I think this is definitely worth a try if you have it. It's a pretty decent secondary for what it is. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention this has 3 extra rounds than the GI-M1, so that's another plus side of this. Next up, we have the Grizzly, which this thing is a one-shot to the head up to like 170 studs, I believe. And it does 97 damage to the head at all ranges. Like at long range, it does 97 to the head, which means if someone is just like, you know, slightly weak, you can easily one-tap them to the head. And I mean, I think the Grizzly, it's just super, super crazy. It's definitely one of the best secondaries out there. And this is another gun I don't see people use too much. As you can see right there, I did 99 to the torso, and then I did 100 to the torso. So yeah, right there, 99 to the torso, and I just missed my second shot. So that guy's on 1 HP. Yay, get that guy. He's on 8 HP. I'm 9 and 13. Yay, I love this game. But yeah, I've liked the Grizzly ever since it came out, and I think it might have gotten better since then. Let me get that guy. Yeah, 142 to the head. There you go. This thing packs a heavy punch, has pretty decent fire rate, 350. That's better than like 100. And I just think the Grizzly is always a really good option out there. It's nice to use. It feels really good. Yeah, I definitely recommend giving this thing a shot if you haven't. See, easy one tap right there. Easy one tap right there. Yep, there you go. I mean, I think that's all that I really have to show for this thing. It's really good. Yeah, next up we have the Tech 9. This is the Tech 9 is pretty good. I think it's a good little machine pistol. I think there's better machine pistols out there, but this is definitely close range focused. You can easily just shred somebody at close range with this thing, because I have muzzle booster on here, and that brings it up to 1620 RPM. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, even though the damage is a little low. Yeah, good luck using this past like a certain range. But yeah, hold on, wait, I'm looking at the Model 700. I'm stupid. Yeah, it's 25 to 17. So yeah, the damage isn't really good, but considering it's 1620 RPM, it just completely shreds anybody like in close range, which is usually when you would use a secondary anyway. So Tech 9, I mean, I like this thing. I have 470 kills on it. It used to be one of my main like secondaries, so this thing's nice. Next up, we have the Scorpion. I like this thing. It's pretty much, I don't know how to describe this thing. It's pretty much like a secondary PDW in a way, kind of like some of the other machine pistols. I think this thing's very accurate and does pretty decent damage. There's a couple better options out there, but I think the Scorpion is a pretty decent just secondary, like to pull out and use at you can even use this thing at probably medium range and be fine. And that's kind of the thing that I like about the Scorpion, is that if you run out of like ammo on like your say like your if you like run out of ammo on your MP5K, you can just whip out your Scorpion and, you know, it can do almost the same thing. I mean, it does have lower like long range damage, but I think it's a pretty good just little secondary. I don't know, it's pretty close to a primary. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Next we have the G18. This is another machine pistol. I think this is the first machine pistol you unlock, so it's a pretty low rank unlock, but it does have 1100 fire rate and it has decent damage as well. And then you can also put on the long barrel and the stock on here, and it's actually pretty good. It's not as accurate as like the Scorpion, but it does do more damage, so that's kind of like the plus side. Hi there. Goodbye. Let me go up here, kill some of these guys. Hold on. Yeah, it does 20 damage at long range, 32 close range. So that's 4 shot to 5 shot. Not bad. Not bad at all. The recoil is a little funny, which is one thing about this that I don't like. In terms of like the pattern, yeah, the pattern's pretty bad. Next up we have the P2000, which this thing's also kind of like a primary secondary sort of thing. Except this one is a 3 shot to 5 shot and has much better recoil. As you can see there, it's more lasery than the G18, which is why I like this thing better. It does have only 20 rounds though, which is one downside. Can you not camp in a corner like a wuss? Yeah, I like the PP2000. I think it's a pretty fun little secondary. It does its job. You can also, if you don't like the reserve ammo, you can get a magazine stock, which I like that as well, so that's nice. I think that gives you like 120 reserve instead of like 80. Next up we have the Executioner. This thing can one-shot to the torso up to a pretty decent range, and it can one-shot to the head pretty far. Yeah, it can one-shot to the torso up to about 59 studs, and it can one-shot to the head up to around 141 studs, which is pretty cool. But you can also put on the Taurus barrel, which makes this thing a one-shot to the head all ranges, but it does sacrifice your one-shot to the torso, so that's something to keep in mind. I think the Taurus barrel is pretty good in certain circumstances. But yeah, since this is a revolver, one thing I like about this too, hold on, let me shoot like a couple bullets here and not get killed. Why are there enemies everywhere? Help! Okay, so yeah, when I go to reload, I can literally just put one bullet in and then boom, there we go. There's 5 bullets, and you can literally just put one bullet in if you just need one bullet. So that's one thing that I do like about the revolvers. It's kind of more realistic reloading, but the Executioner is like a very, very solid secondary. I used it for a really long time, bro. And yeah, this was my main secondary for a really long time, and I think this is a very, very solid secondary. It does its job. It's really good. It does have this weird like multi-point damage graph, which I guess I kind of like. I don't know. It makes it like, I guess it's a good thing. Yeah. So yeah, instead of like a gradual damage drop off, it's like a little curve, which is interesting. So yeah, the Executioner, it's one of the best secondaries in the game easily. Next up, we have the Desert Eagle XIX. This thing is a one shot to the head up to like 100 studs, and I think one shot to the torso up to like 80-ish studs. Hello. Yeah, correction, one shot to the head up to about 110 studs, and one shot to the torso up to like 62 studs, so that's pretty interesting. I like the fire rate and handling on this thing. I think this gun feels really good, and it's definitely the best deagle in the game. The L5 kind of has nothing on this, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, this thing packs a heavy punch, has good handling, good fire rate, and there's nothing really not to like about this thing. I mean, maybe the walk speed's a little on the slower side, but overall it's just kind of like a minor complaint. But yeah, I think this is definitely one of the best secondaries in the game, and I think it's definitely worth a shot if you have it. Let me kill this guy. There we go. But yeah, this is a lot of people's favorite secondary. It is a higher rank at 102, but this is a very good gun, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Next up, we have what I think is the best secondary in Phantom Forces, which a lot of you guys probably saw this coming. It's the ASME. This is basically, it's literally just a secondary primary. It's a 3-shot to 5-shot to the torso. It has a really good torso multiplier. It's like 1.25. Has 33 rounds in a magazine, 99 reserve, and it's a 600 fire rate with basically 0 recoil. It's literally just a pocket PDW, and yeah, you could literally use this as like your main gun if you really wanted to, because it's pretty much just a primary. I don't know how else to say it. if you're like a fan of like automatic PDWs and that's like kind of your thing, then yeah, you would really enjoy this. I mean, you can pull this out and use this at like medium to long range with really no problems at all, as long as if you hit the torso, because I think it is like 19 to the limit long range, but with the torso multiplier that brings it up to like 30. No, sorry, I'm dumb. That brings it up to 23. I got the numbers mixed up. I was about to say 32 and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Yeah, this has been my main secondary for a while now. Yeah, it's easily just the best machine pistol in the game, and it's probably the best secondary in the game, at least it is in my opinion, depending on who you ask. Yeah, this is absolutely my favorite secondary. I love this thing so much. I have no problems with this thing at all. And there's been many cases to where like I would just run out of ammo and I would just whip out the ASME instead because it just works that good. But yeah, that does it for today's video. It was a really long one, so yeah, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to help push this in the algorithm, because it took forever to record and it's probably going to take even longer to edit. Yippee, I have my work ahead of me. Yeah, also check out my Roblox merch. It's been lowered to 15 Robux, so it's cheaper now. So I know a lot of people were complaining about the price, but I lowered it, so there you go. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on the next one.